let's start the class. Today we are going to discuss some important question from Paradise Lost. And if you have any question, ask me, but mute your, at first make sure your audio is mute. If you have a question, then ask me, switching your audio on. Okay. So some basic question we are going to get from Paradise Lost Book 1. What are the epic elements in Paradise Lost Book 1? So one thing you have to be sure of, that we are not going to read the whole text, rather we are going to read just only one book. And for this reason, so we are not going to discuss all the epic elements of Paradise Lost, rather we are going to discuss what those elements available in book on. So at first we are going to get, it's very common question, frequently this question appear in the exam, so you would understand it and try to read those things again and again, so that you may write all those questions. So at first you have to be sure of what invocation is. So in Paradise Lost Book 1, we are going to get invocation to the muse, and in my last class I talked a lot about invocation, so I'm not going to discuss it more. And if you have any problem, check the earlier video so you may understand. Another thing is that epic simile, it's a kind of simile, but it is a little bit grand, and it is broad, and it is a kind of extended simile. In later we are going to discuss in a couple of slides. Another thing is that grand style, and always all the epic, all the epics of the world deal with grand manner, and they do not talk very petty thing. They do not involve this style with the common affairs, rather the style is, it might be kingly. In Mahabharata we see this is the battle of the kings or the battle of the gods. These types of things we might get in epic poem, that is grand style. And the narration would be very grand. The narration is very grand means the grand narration is always, the words are highfalutin, big talk, not and the big style, and those approach is little bit kingly, or more than that is grand narration. And the supernatural element, we find that means those element or those characters are not sometimes conventional like the human being, rather they are little bit, they have some divine power or something more. This thing, supernatural element, you have read, I hope you understand the thing. At first in Paradise Lost we get the invocation to the muse, and we get epic simile, and number 3 grand style, grand narration, and supernatural element. If in your exam do come these types of question, you would answer this with little reference. And, another question we are going to read, that reread the Milton's first description of hell. How is hell both a psychological state and a physical place? So what is hell? We do not know. We never visited hell or heaven, so we don't have any reference except some imaginary ideas from the biblical or these types of religious book. So this is the psychological condition. This is the psychological condition of John Milton, you have to understand. And he wanted to portray something not new, but the pattern is new. Rather, he is talking about the biblical hell, or the hell usually people believe in conventional way. John Milton is not trying to give us something new in depicting hell. Rather, he was talking about old ideas. But one thing he did, I'm going to discuss a little bit about Dante's Divine Comedy. There you would see what kind of, if you are talking about hell, that means you imagine, you try to imagine about hell. When you are talking about hell, that means in your mental vision you try to watch that hell. So when you are thinking about punishment, when you are thinking about crime, that means you are criminal minded. When you are talking about hell, so mentally you hold that idea of hell in your mind. So that's why that is the negative thing for an author or a poet. That's why John Milton didn't talk about much about hell. So those are the words we are going to get: wrath, loss of happiness, lasting pain, torments, baleful eyes, dismay, waste and wild, dungeon horrible. These are the description. This is the description of hell in according to John Milton. But in our next slide, we're going to see, we also talked about this slide in our earlier classes. Darkness visible, rains of sorrow, doleful shade, where peace and rest can never dwell. Hope never comes, that comes to all. So all the bad thing we are going to get. And John Milton did another thing properly, is that he didn't talk about too much burn. In ancient scriptures, you are going to get the description of hell. They believe that you eternal punishment with fire or something like that, or worse than that. But he usually, as he was a conventional Christian, he talked about it, but very small touch of it. Ever burning sulfur, ever burning sulfur. Another thing you are going to get here is that in utter darkness, and unlike the place from whence they fell, or thrice of the utmost cold. These types of things are less important, but we are going to get the big ideas when you are going to answer in your copy. If someone asks you that what is hell, you are going to use these types of words and try to memorize a couple of lines from here. So when you are asked, you may answer it. Okay, this is the second question. In now I am going to talk about Divine Comedy by Dante Allegory, and he also talked a lot about hell, and that sometimes many criticize Dante Allegory in this way, that how a man can imagine such a punishable place. So if you are criminal minded, if you have punishment of these types of ideas you hold in your head, definitely you are going to tell that. So it is not the good sign for an author to discuss too much about hell. What did he tell us in the hell? I'm going to show you some slides. Look, first circle, he had talked about 9 circles. He had Dante's 9 circles. Make no mistake, he talked about 9 circles. And first circle is limbo. Limbo, it's a very bad idea. Limbo means unbaptized. Those people who are unbaptized, that means in pre-Christian era, they are going to hell according to Dante and according to some religious scriptures as well. If you are not to the follower of their religions, definitely you are going to hell. Usually all the religions believe in this way. Second circle, lust or sexual attraction. Third circle, gluttony. Gluttony means excess desire of overeating. Those who people just eat and do nothing. Fourth circle is greed. So look at the ideas of Dante. That means he tried to punish those people, those crimes he thinks is more offended. Number 5 is anger. Number 6 is heresy. Heresy means in orthodox way, according to Christianity, the belief of other religion except Christianity is a kind of heresy. Number 7, violence. if you did if you committed lots of violence in the earth, you are going to hell. Number 8 is fraud, and number 9 is treachery. Treachery means unfaithfulness, or those who lost trustworthiness is called treachery. So look this, what are the comparison you do find between Dante and John Milton. John Milton didn't introduce these types of crime because he didn't focus himself too much on punishment. Rather, he wanted to tell us the story of Adam, Eve, Saturn, and God. And he did not try to punish those people because in my count, Dante had some punishing type imagination that John Milton didn't hold in his heart. That's why he didn't talk about too much. Rather, he described some approaches, wrath, loss of happiness, these types of things, that the convincing way people usually believe that, but he didn't talk too much like Dante. And the hell of Dante was not received too much positively by the noble-minded. That's why John Milton didn't follow his style, neither follow the style of Virgil. So this is the own Englishness of John Milton. Here John Milton is little bit more authentic than any other earlier epic poets. Okay, and another question we are going to discuss is that why was Saturn expelled? Why was Saturn expelled from heaven? It's a major question. Number 1 is arrogance. Number 2 is overconfidence. Saturn expelled from heaven. And another thing you must say, the rebellion against God. Rebellion against God. John Milton portrayed Saturn in this way. That means the man who can talk. You are going to join the office after being graduated. When you are going to enter in your professional life, you would find many people who talk. You would find many people who talk against the system, who talk against government, who talk against the conventional system of traditional ideas. So they are talker. Saturn here can talk. So he is too much courageous and adventurous, we do find, but he was arrogant and overconfident. Two types of ideas we get from Saturn. Okay. Number 4. Okay. Who is the hero of Paradise Lost? With explanation we are going to discuss here. So you are going to get this book, Paradise Lost, Saturn, Adam, or Eve. Who is the tragic hero? Who is the tragic hero? It's a really puzzling question, because at first we might feel Saturn is the man who lost paradise, and he might be a tragic character. But in comparison with the study of Adam and Eve, we might find another idea is that Adam also lost, even Eve also lost paradise. So who is the tragic character here? But one thing you have to understand. So there are some reasons we do find usually to make a character a tragic one, and Saturn possessed all the ideas to be a tragic character. And another thing, some say it's not obvious, but some believe God is also the tragic character. But most of they have some strong argument. It's true, but most of the cases we do find people usually believe Saturn is the tragic character who talked against God. And for this you have to read Aristotle and his ancient definition to be a tragic character. And for this reason, you can take reference from there, and you are going to get a couple of more examples from Paradise Lost as well. Okay. So another question we get. Another question we get: why do you think Milton draws on so many different sources of his description of Saturn? Yes, John Milton didn't believe only one book or two books or two or three sources. Rather, he had a good study, and he had the thought to portray Saturn as it is one of the major characters and definitely the protagonist of the text. So at first he made a graph. He made a graph so that um, all the all the readers might understand and get a clear direction, thinking about Saturn, what kind of character he is, whether it's a round character or flat character, and what kind of dialogue he can deliver, or these types of things, and what kind of leader Saturn, what kind of leader Saturn would be, and he had eloquence power. These types of things John Milton studied a lot, and he took all the source from Old Testament, New Testament, and the pagan stories, ancient tales, and Sumerian myth, and lots of things. And he made a complete whole new Saturn, and that's why we call this Saturn sometimes Miltonic Saturn. And the God of John Milton is not biblical God. Rather, we say it's Miltonic God. So when you are going to discuss Saturn, definitely you are going to write Miltonic Saturn. When you are going to discuss Milton's God, you are not write just God. You would write Miltonic God. So Miltonic Saturn or Miltonic God means the way John Milton did portray the idea, and he discussed the thing. And so it's a complete whole new Saturn for you. So in earlier days, Saturn was the character to be hated only, but nowadays, especially after Paradise Lost, people did not think Saturn is the only character to be hated. Rather, he has some argument, he had some logical point of view. So that is the thing. Milton took all the sources from the Old Testament, New Testament, pagan stories, ancient and Sumerian myth, and he filtered and what we say, etherized, or he filterized the whole idea and gave a birth of complete new Saturn. That's why he had taken all the sources, but he had given us a complete new Saturn. Okay, if you have any question, ask me. Up to this question, if you have any question, do ask me, or I would go to the next slides. Do you have any question? No? Okay. So we are going to the next slide. What effect does Saturn odd have on the fallen angels? That means I told you just a few minutes ago, he was a great leader, and he was courageous, he was adventurous, and for this reason he had a great eloquence, and he was a great talker, and he could convince the people. So when he was convincing the other fallen angels, he said, what though the field be lost? Here field means battlefield. Yes, I have lost the battle. So what? I have just lost the battle. I didn't lose anything. And he said, all is not lost. And I tell you, this is one of the most important lines of all literature. I'm going to tell you. I have read more than 20 epics, and there I didn't find such a bold, grand lines like this. What though the field be lost? Try to understand. I have lost only the battle. I didn't lose anything. Another thing is saying that all is not lost. The unconquerable will. the studies of revenge, immortal hate, and courage never to submit or yield. Yes, I didn't submit, and my courage will never submit. So I didn't bow my head in front of God. So I didn't lose my courage. I lost the battle. So what? I would again try to defeat him. Okay, and he said another word you would see here. From the terror of this arm, so late doubted his empire. That means here the doubt means not doubt. I doubted his empire means I challenged him. Doubted his empire means I challenged him. I challenged the God. So I have that courage to challenge the God. I didn't obey that way. All the angels now living in heaven. I'm not like them, and all of you. And he was suggesting all the fallen angels in this way, that all of you believed me and believe me again. I want to fight again with God. And he said, okay, one who brings a mind to be changed by place or time. That mind is its own place and itself. So now he discussed that. So it is our mind which has some capacity to feel. If I think this is can make a heaven of hell and hell of heaven. If I think this is hell, this should be hell. And if I think this is heaven, this is heaven. So while I'm thinking that we have lost the paradise, it's not true. Rather, if I think this hell is heaven, definitely this is heaven. And he says, no matter what, where, if I still the same and what I should be, but all the less than him, whom thunder hath made great. The greatest weapon of God is thunder. Here at least we shall be free. That is the thing. Here we shall be free. This is the tremendous leadership of Saturn. He said we were servant in the heaven, but we are now hell, and I am thinking this is not hell, it is heaven for me because I am free. So here John Milton directly said freedom is heaven. You try to understand. Here John Milton directly said freedom is heaven, and here we may secure reign, where we may reign secure, and we are going to reign this. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is one of the best lines I have ever read, especially in epic, and this might be the best poetic expression of John Milton, and couple of lines of book one made John Milton the greatest of all English poet. He said, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. It is, you are thinking it is hell, but I am going to reign it. So I am the leader of it. So I am not the servant of God anymore. Rather, I am a free man. He is talking like the black man, those people who wanted to be free. And here the Saturn is the spokesman of those free people who believes to be free. And he said that better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. I don't want to serve in heaven. I'm not the servant of God. Rather, I am a free man. So no matter what, where I live, I am going to reign. I am going to rule the world. And in other books, we do find Saturn directly claimed, and he believed that God is not a good ruler. God is not a good ruler. The Miltonic God is not a good ruler, and that's why the Miltonic Saturn directly opposed God. You have to understand. And the better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. This is antithesis. The definition of antithesis is written here. You would read in your free time. And if someone asks you the quote a line from Paradise Lost, you are going to give this line: better to reign in hell than serve in line. Look at this line. We shall be free. We may reign secure. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Can make a heaven hell and a hell of heaven. If you read other poets like or the texts like Charles Dickens, or you are going to read the Bronte sisters, Charlotte Bronte, or in texts like Jane Eyre, or these types of things, or other texts like William Wordsworth, text from William Wordsworth, Coleridge, or the other romantics. Those are silly lines comparing John Milton. They did never write these types of sentence, and they never could. This is because this is the Englishness, the zeal of Freeman. He was only one of those men who could hold those ideas in his heart. When Saturn is talking, it's not Saturn himself, it is the Milton himself who is talking. So Milton is the spokesman of Milton, is the inner voice of Saturn. God is not the inner voice of John Milton, neither Adam or Eve, but the Saturn is the inner voice of John Milton. You have to understand all that, because when the restoration happened in England, he had passed such a miserable condition. He had passed such a miserable condition. These lines are the reflection of all those things. Okay. We are going to discuss another thing, but though it is not written in book 1, but you have to know that how long did it take for Saturn to fall from heaven to hell? How long? It is 9 days. It is 9 days. So 9 days, and 9 days they fell. Confounded chaos road. It is written in book 5. In book 5 you are going to get this, but if someone may ask me, or in the exam you might get this. Okay, so we are going to get, we talked about Saturn a lot, and Saturn is one of the favorite characters in all literature, and usually you are going to like this character if you read the whole text. What type of leader Saturn? What type of leader is Saturn? You have to understand. He's a great leader. Okay, no doubt he's a great leader, because he could convince those angels to fight against God. That means he is a great leader. He can motivate people. Okay. Number 2, leader of anti-establishment. Those who are in power, they are established, and those who are talking against the system, they are anti-established. And if you are talking about, you are the spokesman of anti-established people, definitely you are the great leader. Take the example of Bangladesh. Take the example of liberation war. When Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is representing Bangladesh, he is not the leader of the established people. Rather he was the common leader. He was the mass leader of anti-established people. So this is the very, 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 very obvious nature of a leader to take the side of the anti-established people. When we comment, especially I myself, I do find when I'm giving a status in Facebook, definitely I'm talking about and the critics, they are talking about the anti-established people. Okay. And the number 3, courageous and adventurous. Yes, definitely he had courage, and because he could challenge God, and his life was too much adventurous. And the power of his speech, you have already seen. He could motivate anyone. And last on the convincing power, definitely he was convincing power. And I'm going to give an example of Ernest Hemingway. I hope you have read Old Man and the Sea. I hope you have heard the name of Old Man and the Sea, and for that Ernest Hemingway was awarded Nobel Prize. He said, "The man is not made for defeat. A man can be destroyed, but can be defeated." Wow. Yes, I hope this is the best line of Old Man and the Sea, and I am giving you this quotation to compare Saturn and that old man and the sea. And here you would see that Saturn knew God can destroy him. Saturn knew exactly God can destroy him, but he is not going to be defeated mentally. Physically you can destroy me, but I am not going to be defeated mentally. When you are asking me, do you yield? I say never. So kill me, but I am not going to be defeated. So this is such a leader we do find, leadership we do find in Saturn. Okay. So how many slides we have? Can we complete this one? Okay, within 3. If it is not complete, the time would go over, and you would rejoin. Okay. Okay. Milton's use of God as a character. So, do you, someone believe Milton use of a God as a character? Yes, definitely the character. But Milton didn't create. Milton showed that the God is the omnipotent. The God is the omnipresent. The the God is the omniscient. But Milton didn't portray the benevolent God. He didn't portray the God is the highest high. And God in Milton's attitude or Milton's approach of God is not the highest supreme. I mean the supreme good. The God is not the supreme good in according to John Milton. God is dictator, and that's why he had a force. He had a force, army. He had a group of I mean say soldiers. So another thing is that, and another thing you are going to get, he does not allow free will. That's why Adam had restriction, Eve had restriction. So in my count, the Miltonic God is not the symbol of good God. Rather, it is the symbol of dictatorship, or the way dictator characters usually try to portray themselves to maintain their power. Okay, and we are going to discuss epic simile. So I'm going to discuss epic simile a lot within 2 minutes. We have only 2 minutes, but I'm going to finish it here right now. But you would rejoin. You rejoin after. Join with me after 3 minutes. Join with me after 3 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.